So, I'm going to get started with today's critiques. I'm so sorry if I'm a little bit out of it. Just a little bit worried about my cat. I know I'm repeating this, but I'm repeating it for YouTubers who are watching. Okay, so what I did is I got rid of that excessive gradient you had in the background. And what that's doing is that gradient is causing you're throwing off the value, throwing off the light environment. So for those who don't know what a light environment is, it's the combination, the relationship between the light source, the background, and the object, and what they do to each other and how shadows diffuse and all of that fun stuff with light sources. So what you did was you inverted it. You made it dark to light. You probably saw this, some like professional do this, or maybe not professional because it's a pretty big mistake to make. The light is coming from the top. All of these shadows are pointing down, but the thing that's taking up the most space, so if you were to calculate what takes up the most space in this painting, it's the background. And if the background is taking up this much space and it's telling us the opposite of what the light source is, what's happening to the light source, then it's going to throw everything off. So if you had to have a gradient, if you must have a gradient, you don't even need a gradient. Look how much better it looks without the gradient. But if you really had to have one and you couldn't fight it and it's just like an inner urge, it's an instinctual, whatever urge to just have that gradient in the background, you can't fight it no matter what, then you can just have the light start at the top. Okay, this is actually much better than having it start at the bottom like that, especially on this level of contrast. Look at the darkness, the light, and look at the shadow. This is a massive jump, a gradient that points in the opposite direction. The background is causing too much trouble for just being a background. It's a background. It shouldn't be causing this much trouble. It shouldn't have this much attention. It shouldn't be given this much attention. Okay? So what you need to do is either have it as a solid value. Okay, so we just have a nice solid Shift G value, or we have the gradient pointing in the proper direction at the light source, and that's it. Okay, so this one would probably work a little bit better because you've got some room lights and you probably want to explain where they're coming from, but the room actually looks three-dimensional. The room looks open. Even with just the solid value, it looks great. It looks wonderful. And if you have that excessive light in the background, you kind of lose some of this rim light that you had here. So I personally would change it straight to this. Okay, it was just too much trouble for a background. I mean, it's just a background. Okay, then next up would be the fact that you've got the hips looking in a different direction while the front of the hips. If we had little flashlights, you know how bikes have those little lights. If we had little flashlights pointing at us, or like emerging from the hip bones, these two flashlights would point directly at the camera. But the way you had the crotch before was as if one was pointing directly at the camera and one was pointing more to when we see the full length of the flashlight. So what you did was you tried to force this kind of rotation in the hip area. Maybe you read your reference wrong, but you don't need it. The torso, the shoulders, the breasts, the oblique area, all of these areas are facing forward. And you can't really, all of this is one unit really. Well, mostly the rib cage is one unit. It doesn't really, wherever the rib cage points, that's where the shoulders are likely to follow, even if they have a little bit of flexibility here and there, especially with the pelvic bone as well, and then the hips. They kind of move as one unit. They don't have joints inside. The joints connect the legs, and then the legs do a couple of twists here. But this is one unit and this is one unit, and if these two are pointing forward, then it means the crotch just has to follow. The crotch is a symmetrical, stationary thing. The crotch isn't flexible and move around unless you're a guy. But at that point, we're not talking about that. So, see before, you just had a little bit of asymmetry as if the hips were completely dislocated to the side. And now that we fixed that, we find a couple of other issues with the symmetry of the thighs. And when it comes to the body, the human body, when we fix one problem, we fix a bunch of other problems because they're revealed to us. But really, this is a wonderful piece of work. You've got amazing balance and amazing gesture. Maybe the legs are just a little bit too long. The head is just a little bit small. But altogether, it looks wonderful. It looks like fully finished concept art. And you just had to muddy all of this talent with this in the background. You don't need it. You don't need it. This is excessive presentation. Trust me that this painting is doing all the work that you need it to do. You don't need all that extra little attention paid to the presentation. So select inverse. And then I'm just going to work a little bit more on this rim light. So what you did here was you kind of made a little bit of rim light happen on the side. And what you need to do is continue it, because this whole area is a flat surface that's getting some of that light. And we have that terminator line just show up ever so slightly. But this is a very, very high white color. This is a very bright. It means it's not going to be just stationary, just around the cheekbone. If it's traveling on the arm, then it can hit the face as well and hit the sides of the neck. And the more you spread out this rim light, the more three-dimensional the object will feel, because you're illuminating areas that should be in coarse shadow. For the hair gets subsurface scattering underneath it, so we get saturation and illumination. Oops. Just around the areas where we have some light travel, just like that. Somewhere over here, just a little bit more. That's because of that rim light coming in and interrupting it. Right, so before, after. See that extra little jump out of the canvas? That's because we extended the spread of the secondary light source along the z-axis of the cube, wherever the cube manifests in the painting. I'm not looking at questions right now, and if anyone's asking what program, this is Photoshop CS5. But I will let you know when I'm taking questions. This rim light, I mean, you should be allowing it to spread everywhere else as well, because this light is very, very strong. It's a very hot white, so unless it's like a very, very precise laser or something like that, really, really focused light, then it would spread a little bit more. The weaker the light source, the wider its spread. The stronger the light source, the sharper its line. Less spread, basically like a open umbrella versus a closed umbrella. So if it's a laser kind of light source, we really would have very, very different behavior all around the hair. Very, very illuminated rim light around the hair. If it can reach the face, it can reach the hair. And it'll for sure, if it would have reached the hair before it reached the face. So we would have a lot of these wispy outlines here on the sides, as that light shoots in and travels through the hair. Okay, but the rim light shouldn't really be focused on so much altogether. It is just a minor light, and the primary light source is casting the real business, the real deal with the core shadows and the form. So just a little bit of flat surfaces here that could use some rendering. And you've got really, really like a gray shadows for the skin tone here, but very nice red shadows here. Continue the same skin tone palette that you're using for the face. Continue that for the rest of the body. And then you've got this cast shadow, which is probably coming from another rim light. So you've got a couple of them just, floating around here. And you seem to be getting away with a lot of it. So it isn't that scary or that troublesome. But you got to start making sure that, one, your shadows are consistent and they're all sourcing from the same light source. And then you treat the secondary and tertiary light source. And two, you have to start treating all of the skin tones as if they're the same. They're coming from the same body. So this hand is really red. Kind of like alarmingly red. So I'm desaturating it. Maybe you saturated it because it was a bit muddy. And the reason why it's muddy isn't because it doesn't have enough saturation, it's just because it's too dark. So you kind of dropped a little low with the values where you should have just stayed a little bit more mid-tone or medium. Once he fell asleep. Oh, see. Sue. Okay. Oh God, I'm so worried about her. Okay, so we have a couple more instances here of rim light. And remember, rim light isn't a thing. It's not some sort of like subsurface scattering or something. It's not something that happens. And when it happens, you got to study the way it happens because it's very rare, like a rainbow or something like that. Rim light is just secondary light source seen from a different angle. So we're seeing it as in an eclipsed. We see an eclipsed secondary light source. That's a rim light. Light that's sitting on the surface caused by a secondary light source. It could be the primary light source for all I care. Like it's just because you're seeing it from a different angle. As long as you're seeing the light source from behind the shadow when you're seeing some kind of eclipsing happening. So this light source is kind of a little bit behind, causing some of this light to come through, but it is diffusing the primary. So diffuse light, bounce light, primary light source, all of that could cause the rim light. What I'm doing is I'm grabbing that white and I'm using it on all the highlights of the skin tone. Please remember that about rim light. So can anyone answer, what is rim light in its entirety? What does rim light do? So I'm asking you guys a question now. What program, guys? What program, John? Hey, look, someone just commented on why you're drawing stuck video. This video destroyed my self-esteem. I'm never drawing again. Again, tis video. Man, if you're gonna publicly announce you're never gonna draw again, at least look out for some typos. Okay. So I'm just waiting on your answers. Alright, as for the face, I'm gonna look into kind of just making it feel a little old. You have these two lines here. These lines, she can smile. It'll still read as a smile without you having to outline that it's a smile. I feel like sometimes you guys have the lines around the mouth when it smiles just because you feel like, hey, just in case you didn't know, this girl's smiling. And I really want you to know that. I really want you to just know that she's smiling. You know, it's less of a characterization or creating like a distinct, like a distinguished kind of face, which is very, very organic and natural looking face. A very like a, I don't know, a natural, I guess, looking face. Instead of making that conscious choice for the design, I feel like you guys are just putting it there because you feel like you have to push the smile even more. I'll read the smile. In fact, I'll read the smile even more if you give me a corner dimple like that, because that actually happens. This happens to everyone when they smile. Their lips crease up on the corners before anything happens to the cheeks. Okay? So we really, really don't need those lines, and the reason why I'm stressing that is because they're an age signature. They'll make her look very, very old. The neck is a little troublesome. So rim light is a light to separate the figure or hair from the background. That's a use for it, but what is it physically? What is it scientifically? Secondary light source, seeing it from a different angle. It could be the primary light source. It's just a light source interrupting a core shadow seen from a different angle. Remember that when it's dark outside, we're all in a core shadow, the sun's core shadow. That's shower thoughts. That's a shower thought for you. Rim light so you can see the seat is down before you sit. What? Rim light defines the edge of a piece by adding a secondary light source. That's a use for it, but what is it? I just want to see more explanations of what it is. Rim light is can be from any light source seen from a different angle. Exactly. So rim light shines on the rim because we're looking at the rim of the object. That's what rim light is. It isn't some sort of thing that happens to certain kinds of textures or some other kind of specific term of the way. I mean, that's all light behavior at the end of the day, but you know what I mean. Alright, as for the thighs, so they're looking a little bit flat, a little bit cell shaded, so I'm going to grab this exact white value I have here, And as simple as doing this. I'm going to make the thighs look like they have more three-dimensional shape to them. Of course, we have to make sure we address the fact that this light that I just added goes on top of all the props, all that weird little thing here, that garter. And just make sure that it's a little bit darker, sitting on top of anything that's already pigmented darker. So I'll behave a little like this. Sorry, I'm just looking at my cat. This is a little bit darker. Osi. 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 Okay, she's moving her tail. Oh my god, she's breathing so slowly. Oh god, help me. Okay, so we just need a little bit of an outward motion for that. The z-axis. And then we've got, again, another example of you not being consistent with your skin tones. So these skin tones here, I'm just going to grab this red and just lay that on top. And again, another example of how dark you go in areas that don't really need to be that dark. Because these two thighs are bouncing light against each other. So they don't get to be that dark. But it is a crotch area, so it should pretty much be darkened overall. This cape, it's done a little bit, it caused a little bit of trouble, because if I was a photographer and I'm trying to show off the curvature of this femme fatale, whatever, I would not let any of the cape, which means nothing. So if you were to calculate the weight of the cape in the background, or the skirt or whatever, against the worth or the value of the curvature of her body, the curvature of the body wins as something to put on stage. A skirt doesn't take front and center on a stage, whereas the curvature of the body does. So that means that if that skirt was peeking out and it was sourcing from somewhere at the top, shift it to the side so it's not peeking out, because what's carrying this entire motion is this femme fatale, female lady girl, who is, wouldn't really be here if she wasn't curvy and had a dagger. It's all about the sex appeal at this point, and you don't want to hide one of the major components of that character design. And then we got this white again, the same white. I'm brushing it over everything, and that's the nature of the light source on the surfaces it bounces on. So on top of everything, everything gets a little bit of that light source. So just a quick radial build up on all the belts. I'm not changing the color. After you've chosen all of the highlights and the values, and you've done all the basic light, mid-tone, and shadow values and all the units, you go back, get that white, and you apply it to everything. So what I'm doing now is I'm placing some on the fabric. And we've done some fabric studies, like folds and stuff like that. We've done that kind of stuff before. Yes, it's all about the booty when your character design is about the booty. I personally don't recommend trying to turn on your viewers. It's a cheap way to design characters, but if you have to, you have to. If that's what you've been hired for or whatnot. Okay, so just a trace of that on the fabric, not interrupting any core shadows or anything like that. Did anyone else's Skype go down? I think the Skype servers went down. It was really weird. And then Discord like flopped like 4 times yesterday. It's really weird. Okay. And then this piece of metal here, this is a different material, it's not made of leather, so it needs to be spiked upward to represent its reflectivity. Again, following the path of the light source. And then after you've done that, you've chosen highlight, midtone, whatever, shadow, then you go back and grab that white again, and you just toss it on top. Don't make it too bright because you don't want it to contest the contrast that we have on the face. But good job overall avoiding using contrast everywhere else. Those are really, really good, good thinking. One thing I recommend is try to think about the transparency or translucency of the fabric. So if it is like a little bit more see-through, what you can do is kind of bring in some of the background color, which means the light source is shown through. So what we can do is just a little bit of this. Do you see that? How nice a little trick that is? Sometimes a lasso tool, a magic wand, really cooperates. And those are the good days. Don't want to do it too much that I'm kind of interrupting the coarse shadow. I don't want to do that. That's like sin. That's like cardinal sin. You can't. That's what the term is, right? Like cardinal, like level, final form sin. If you do anything to your core shadows, you're pretty much just ruining the entire painting, because the core shadows are the language that we understood the light source through. But sometimes subsurface scattering or transparency or translucency, which is why those textures are so difficult to pull off, they require that. They completely destroy the core shadow. So yeah, you have to have like a live kind of setup. You have to be constantly aware of the perfect, delicate balance of light source in your painting, and you got to go back and forth and readjust and adjust, and you just have to be patient. And eventually, at the end of the session, you kind of have a nice harmony between all of the units in the painting. So this seems to be wrapping around her thigh, so I'm just going to give it that. Pretty much all I'm doing is just finding a balance between the whites. What I'm doing is I'm using the white of the light source color on all of the units that are exposed to the light source, and I'm balancing the presence of the secondary light sources, or the diffused light sources. So remember, using the excuse, oh yeah, well I've seen that kind of backdrop in a photograph before. I've seen photographers use it. I mean, since when were photographers and the mistakes they made kind of like obsolete? You know, like they're not. They're very susceptible to making mistakes like the rest of us. Don't get me started on photographers. So just because you saw it in a photograph doesn't mean it was a good staging choice. It's terrible, terrible staging choice if you saw it in a photograph. Why would you darken the top? Unless for some reason you're going to have text at the top, and that's normal, that's different, that's an actual purpose. We're talking sciences. So if you had text at the top somewhere here, then that would make sense. But even then, why do you even need the text if it's a character design? A couple little, pieces of writing here. You don't want the text to be massive, like a big billboard or some kind of Broadway show light up title thingy. You don't need that. Just a tiny little blurb about the character, and that's all you need to push across your intentions behind the design. You don't need anything other than the design. That's basically what I'm trying to say with the background. The background means nothing. A couple more points here where the costume is just a little bit reflective. And you want to do this. You want to create a distinction between what's reflective and shiny and what isn't. If you don't create that distinction and you send this off to a costume designer, they're going to use felt or some other kind of weird material where your intention as the designer was to have them shiny. If you wanted them shiny, you're going to have to paint them in shiny. And this whole foot is going to fall over. So there's a couple things we could do. I'm going to try to just do the leg. Come on. That whole leg looked like it was just going to fall, or the whole body looked like it was just going to fall over because of that leg. So what we have to do is straighten it and tilt it inward somewhat. And just erase this one. Okay, and this leg seems just a little bit large now that we've adjusted this one. But what we can do is just maybe increase the size of this leg, increase the width of this leg. Because it seemed a little skinny compared. Okay, so these are some of my changes. I am going to do a quick little thing with the upper body, or actually just the lower body, and so that's going to be a lot more simple. That whole unit down here should be much smaller. It's very big compared to the upper body. Those legs were very, very large. So let's go back. Before, after. So do you see what happened with the background is very, very distracting from the before. He's doing just fine. Okay. Good. All right. So before, after. So more presence of the light source throughout the painting. We have more whites, indicating that the light source that shines on the corset is the same that shines on the body, on the head, on any other unit. And then we fix the background issue as well, which is extremely distracting. It might seem like you have a nice little environment, but it's a character design, and we discussed the fact that you can, if you wanted to, use a gradient at the top as well. That's fine too. If you wanted to use a gradient, you can. One that has a little bit of warmth to it. Just like that. You can do that if you really wanted an atmosphere in the character design presentation. But again, it's not required if this is just a character design. And you had that extreme business here in the background. And these are the changes I made to the legs. The legs look like they were about to fall over. It looks like a girl's about to fall over, but the upper body's intact. And these are the kinds of things you can get out of the way in just a quick sketch for the gesture. Okay, so for your portfolio, I really recommend these changes. This is a beautiful painting. It deserves a little bit more graceful presentation, I guess, and it'll speak volumes in your portfolio. All right, so let's talk about this one. Any questions, though? Any questions? Yeah. Let the design tell the viewer who they are. Yes, absolutely. Istebrak, instead of cinema sins, it's art sins. Yeah, the hand was just a bit big because I shrunk the arms. I shrunk the legs into the hands. I can't shrink everything. It's just too much work. But yeah, there are some more leftover disproportionate sizes and stuff. Female lady girl. Alright, no questions. I'm just scrolling up, looking for anything I might have ignored. Okay, please focus on the lesson. Don't make Abu and Jeremy make the difficult decisions, though they will not hesitate to make them. Much better after. One question, shouldn't the scabbard or blade of the sword be visible? Yeah, it should, definitely. That looks like a big hilt, so that's not a dagger. A dagger isn't just a... It has a kind of a small, delicate hilt. It's just about balancing blade with hilt, and when the hilt is this big, then we've got a kind of a broader sword, a broader blade. Even if it's a short sword, it'll look like a... It'll definitely be visible, especially because of the angle she's holding it in. So now just choose this, and then just lighten that. The reason why you didn't show it, I think, is because it would interrupt the silhouette. So that's one reason why you should just try to tilt it so that the blade, tilt this, so that the blade is not pointing to the background, but pointing downward as if it would be hidden by the leg. Oops. Just tilt it like that, and that's all you need to do to avoid interrupting your silhouette. I would, again, if we weigh the value, is it a silhouette? That's important. If you had you had a scale, you had the silhouette of the character design on one part of the scale, and you had a hilt and the visibility of the blade on the other side, which is more important? The silhouette is going to win technique-wise. It's going to win design-wise. Weighs more for the character design and the execution and the successful execution of the character design. So instead of having to worry about showing that on the side, which is what we had to do for the old angle of the hilt, what you have to do is just fix this and just make it point down and out of the way. So what? So what? The hilt is pointing in a different direction. At least we're not interrupting the silhouette anymore. Good question, Senderate. I really don't know what to call you. Do you have a name that I can use? It's hard to pronounce that. Tensiderate? Tensiderate? Sorry for being annoying, but when was the last time you put advantage on her? Everything you described is a side effect. Oh, it's been a while since 2 months ago. A month and a half ago I used advantage on her. I know advantage can have a little bit of like a weird reaction. I actually used Adams one time, and that was a really bad reaction for her. So I just started buying advantage, and she's not reacting to any medicine I applied. She's just really, really, really slow and breathing weird, and not like difficulty breathing, just breathing funny. And I think it's nausea. I think she has a cold from the bath I gave her. I just made sure everything was warm. I dried her off. She just runs away, and when she gets away, I can't find her anymore because I'm temporarily her arch enemy because I gave her a bath. You're not being annoying, Frappa. Thank you for your concern. Tom? Okay. Tom is so good. Thank you. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom. So do you have any updates on the matter of the glossary? Okay, let's go on to this. So what I have here is just a little bit of an awkward pose for the kangaroo. I'm trying to find like a good kangaroo reference where we actually do see them sitting up like that, like sitting up just like that, arms facing forward. Do you see what happens? There's no arc like this. That whole arc is gone. So view image, grab that reference. So this is what a reference is. This is what the power of a reference is. It makes you make this massive little curve here. It makes you just chill out with that. If a reference is good for anything, it's for making sure that our silhouette is accurate, that our anatomy is accurate, that a lot of the early stages of the design are immune to our nature, which is a very mistake-making, very prone to human error nature that we have. If I feel like making a nice little curve here, yeah, but that curve is going to completely throw off the read of the kangaroo. So me, I'm not really like I'm not the kangaroo expert, but instantly when I saw this, I was like, that curve is just a little bit awkward. Okay, so it's reading more as like an upright kangaroo that's really standing up on its hind legs. And yeah, And then again, over here, the chick would have to be dragged out. So it looks like it's on a sagging sack. Is that what it is? Is that what it is? The pouch? Sack? Whatever. A sagging sack. Alright, so we do this. We do a little bit of that. And then we just hide away. I know in the description you submitted this with, you said that the pouch does feel a little bit awkward to you as well. So this might be the reason why it really wasn't sitting inside of it. What a strange animal the kangaroo is. Anyway, can we just take a moment to consider that the baby is born and then it lives inside a little purse? Lives inside a pocket. Nature made a pocket. Like, nature all by itself realized, hey, pockets are pretty fucking useful. Let me use a pocket. I never buy a jacket without a pocket in it, so I'm pretty much a genius. I tell everyone, yo, don't buy a jacket if it doesn't have a pocket. There's no point. The jacket loses all purpose. So where is that other reference? Come on. Okay. So I would just grab this. This is a baby kangaroo, I think. But I would just flip it. Okay. And then just use that reference here. Honestly, like, nature gave an animal a pocket. It's just adorable. I can't get over it. Every time I see a kangaroo, I'm just like, what the fuck are you? What are you? Some kind of like chimera or something? Like, what happened to you? Did ancient aliens like adjust you and give you a pocket? Why do you have such crazy muscles and why do you punch? What's the matter with you, kangaroo? I don't know. This shadow here is just indicating like a flatness or a pinch in the form. I'm sorry if you're a kangaroo in the audience. I'm so sorry if I've offended you or if you associate as a kangaroo. Seriously, if you think you're a kangaroo, just go home. But I'm very, very sorry if my kangaroo xenophobia or whatever, I don't know, has offended you. If this was Zootopia, then I would get in trouble. Oops. I'm just adjusting that. Another thing that's a bit awkward is the color choice. It's a little bit too red, and then also really saturated. Kangaroo isn't really that red. The yellow is just fine. The yellow speaks volumes now as well. But let's just look at the before and after. Just do you want to know why I said anger? Because I looked at the chick and he looked really, really mad, and I'm like, why is that chick so angry? Before and anger. You identify as a kangaroo? I'm so sorry. Okay, so got before. Very pink kangaroo. If you wanted it to be pink, keep it that way. If it has to be like an Easter kangaroo, keep it pink. But I recommend you not keep it, and you not turn it pink. Unless the culture, I'm not sure why, I think it's like an Australian thing. Yeah. When you saturate this egg, you see where I'm putting the sponge tool? Just on the midtones. Shadows don't need saturation. The blue is doing just fine without it. I'm not going to do this. And the highlights are doing just fine. Highlights just need a little bit more reflectivity. So where do we saturate, boys and girls? Anger makes everything better. Don't be so kangarooed. That's really good. That's really good. So, so yeah, this is definitely something that I would adjust about the, I was just gonna liquefy it, about that chick. It's Very angry little chick. Just give him a bit more open-eyed innocence. Kind of looks like Ossie when she is bored. So that'll do a lot for the chick. He just looked very, very mad. It was just a cute, angry little. And then there's the derp. You know, I just feel like the kangaroo should just be making this face right now. Because it's just looking completely away. This guy is posing so hard. The egg is doing so well. He's like, yo, this is my first gig. I'm doing so well. I'm just a great blue egg, and I just love my job. And this guy is just looking up at the boom. He's not even looking up at. He's not even looking towards the camera. And everyone else is working hard except the kangaroo. So what I'm trying to say is, get the kangaroo's eyes to look over at everybody else. Don't let him ruin it for everyone. Kangaroos are notoriously lazy workers anyway. And they have very, very low IQ. I really don't like kangaroos. I don't know if you guys have noticed. The pouch thing is cute. They're cute when they're babies, but oh my god, have you guys seen that video with the kangaroo at the guy's window and it's just scratching to get inside? It looks like fucking Beelzebub or something. It looks like a fucking demon. I bet they're like they're just assholes too. I bet they're like the deer of Australia. So what I'm going to make him do is look a little bit over to us so he can get more involved in this happiness of Easter. He just looks like he doesn't give a shit. He can't be bothered. So what we want to do is start using a little bit of expression. You're kind of going for like this really realistic rendition, but a little bit of expression goes a long way. It doesn't even have to be an expression. It can just be just the way the snout works, or whatever it's called, the little thingy works. Right, that'll do a lot more. It'll look like a sweet little kangaroo as compared to before where it was just derping away, not listening to the director. What you can do is give them those adorable camel-like lashes. That's definite beauty signature that you can use. They're so cute. See, like they look very similar to camels, and camels also have that weird water bottle they carry around with them. Cameras have water bottles, built-in water bottles. So like, who's in charge of making the kangaroos and the camels, and what the fuck? Why is he why is this he or she involved in designing the kangaroo and the camel and anything else similar to them? Why are they making such funny choices? Very practical, advanced choices for nature. I mean, it's very, very strange. Very, very, very strange. I'm going to bring in just a little bit more light in the eyes. Camel plus bunny equals kangaroo. He looks like he's about to murder the egg. Before he kind of looked like he was contemplating murdering it, I think. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm just zooming out, making sure everything is okay. See, it's not even a smile, but it's just reading as a smile because we've just placed the shadow where we expect a smile. And then finally, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a couple of big choices. Right, the first big choice that I'm going to make is darkening the kangaroo. Second choice is I'm going to fuzz away that tail in some white so it looks like it's receding into the distance. I'm going to surround this body area here with some shadow. Okay, and then I'm going to center all of the major highlights using the background color, which is the light source color as well. And I'm going to use it on all the areas, just like I did with that girl, that gunslinger girl. Or actually that warrior princess. I'm really not sure where you were going with that, but I'm just going to do exactly the same thing. Just using the white on everything. This area here. Too dark. And I'm just finding the geometric anatomy, meaning the cylinders and the spheres and the balls. If you're going to cast this shadow, you might as well cast this one. Okay, just going to use a little bit of a boost from the dodge tool. I'm going to desaturate. Dodge tool likes to wreak havoc. Bring in some subsurface scattering for the ears. The ears, it's an Easter bunny. You got a chance to use some pink. Or Easter kangaroo. Use that pink, man. Go for it. Go full pink. Shouldn't be using deep blacks for this, because it's supposed to be lighthearted. It's supposed to be a children's story or something. Again, I'm so sorry for my ignorance. I really don't know why there's a kangaroo and an egg and a chick. And what that has to do with Jesus Christ. But I'll just blame it on the druids. Alright. So I'm raising some yellow. That yellow is from the light source. And I'm just giving that some illumination. Because again, it's an area that is really thin. It's really pink. It's adorable. Oh, but we've got the... Oh, okay. So in the reference, it's, oh, fuck, okay. Scratch all of that. I didn't even look at the reference. I didn't know they had fuzzes for ears. Okay, let's just go backward then. Let's just undo all of this. Go back here. And then, I'll just pretend that didn't happen. And then we just keep going forward. I'm going to desaturate all of this. It looks a little bit pink for my taste. In order for it to read as fuzzy, you gotta, I'll show you in a second. Alright, and then I'm gonna go over and desaturate all of that I just did with the dodge tool. Dodge tool likes to bring in weird new colors that make no sense. Okay, so if the kangaroo's ear is all black everywhere, then we need to smudge that edge. Can't be this clean if it's a fuzzy edged ear. Alright, so what we do is we don't give it that clean edge. That clean edge that we have with rabbits or cats is because there's no fur, it's just the skin of the ear. And then another thing that I do is I get smudge tool on soft brush and I go in and I just have a little bit of fun. Give it, yeah, the strength is good. I just go back and forth, smudging down, smudging up, until I get this nice fuzzy fuzz. Osi, osi, os, osi. Okay. Just taking too long to move her tail. Osi. There we go. Stop waking me up, God. This is another good thing the smudge tool is used for. This is exactly what I do if I'm painting with my pencil. I just use the smudge to make little pieces and wisps of fur. And then I go back to the scatter. And then just scatter away at those pieces so they look a little bit more fuzzy. And from a distance, if I feel like, I need a little bit more reed or a stronger kind of like little fur like that, I will. When I'm zoomed out, I can't pull these kinds of choices zoomed in. I just don't know how it looks from a distant perspective, too close. Okay, and I really recommend you do this exact technique everywhere else. So we got, don't over furify it. Don't make it too furry. God, I can't even say the word furry anymore. It's just certain areas you can represent as fluffy. Big fluffs. And those are the areas we go over. I need to desaturate this whole section here. That's the light source. And right here along the butt, just along this area, we have some shadow. Just like this. And this black here is too much. Again, the same reason for why I changed the ears. Don't use too much black. It's just too much, especially for something as lighthearted as all that. And then just you don't have the right texture all around. You don't have this very fluffy, not furry, fluffy texture. And we need that fluffy texture. So what do? We just go through every single edge and we just smudge, smudge, smudge. I'm going to saturate the chick just a little bit more. And what you can do to diffuse all this excessive black down here is just get a secondary light source under there. So why are kangaroos such assholes, though? What's their problem? Did we see kangaroos in what's it called? Zootopia? I think it's a she because of the pouch, but maybe males also have the pouch. Did I say he? I'm sorry. Deselect. Oops. Okay, we're going over all of these edges, making sure none of them read as like these super sharp pieces. And then again, get the smudge tool, put it on a soft brush, well zoomed out, and then just go in and make those little wisps happen. Not everywhere. We want to infer the texture. We don't want to go haywire and ballistic and provide too much information and make it like detail overload. Everything is fluffy about the kangaroo. Who knew? Especially in Australia. Fucking skillet of the world. Well, I think Africa's the skillet. I think Australia is the what's that thing called that you make pancakes on? Not a skillet, no. That's right, the light source on the egg seems more in the front according to the highlight, whereas the kangaroo is more from the top. Yes, the light source is completely inconsistent. I might even just edit it and just try a whole new and just give a little lesson on radial shading. So a couple more changes. I'm just trying to build up the highlights so they're not excessive or scary. And every time I use the dodge tool, what do I use with it? What do you use in conjunction with the dodge tool? This chick is too dark around the bottom. Needs to be light all around. It would be so cool if you could make the kangaroo's, no, that's too dark. The kangaroo's eyes blue or something. You need to color coordinate. You have different colors from different sections all over the place. Burner, griddle. Griddle! Yeah, griddle. Burn tool? No. What do you use in conjunction with the dodge tool? No. Not skillet. No, you don't use a skillet. I'm joking. I know what you're answering. Desaturate sponge thing. Yes, periodical. Thank you. Spongy sponge. The reason why is because dodge tool likes to bring in information that didn't really happen. It likes to make up stories. It increases the saturation as well as the highlight in this really exponential way that you could lose control of very quickly. What you want to do is follow it up real quick with a chaser called the sponge tool. Okay, and then yeah, the egg is completely throwing off the setup here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to redo the egg. Following the light source on the kangaroo. So what I do is I grab that, choose a lighter value that has a little bit more yellow to it, decrease my opacity, and yay, form studies. Thank you for not failing me, form studies. You're the best, form studies. I'm going to cool it back down. Oh, I didn't do the... It's okay, the hand is blue, I'll take care of it, don't worry. And then we grab the light source color, and then we just throw a little highlight, like that. And we desaturate. Yellow egg. Oh, blue is nice, I'm kind of liking the blue because we've got, you know, a new color here now. But you see how this egg read so fast? You can thank your form studies for that. It's because we know how to build an object along its contours, and if we understand the contours as a sphere, we know how to, when to shrink the brush, when to bring in secondary light source, which direction the bounce light is facing in. Actually, I'll just make the bounce light move in from the left. Okie dokie. And then if you wanted to saturate, again, where do we saturate? Along the midtone. Yay. Just along there. Nowhere else. You don't just everywhere you want. Oh, actually, that looks pretty good because it's a children's thing. But let me just do that again. Okay, maybe just a little bit. And then excessively along the midtone. Okay, so before it was a little bit of a black egg. You had used the wrong values. Didn't feel like it belonged in that light source. Yeah, that's just too saturated egg. That's just too saturated. I'm just going to bring that down. And before, after, okie dokie. Dookie, what? Oh, I see. She's sleeping. Oh, she's being so cute. Oh my god. She did the hold her head thing and the little stretch, and then she covered her eyes thingy thing that cats do. Okay, so you see how derpy he did? He was like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm here. I have another gig at 6. Can you just hurry the fuck up and take the picture already? And then this girl's like, oh my god. I'm so fucking tired. I'm so hungover. Now everybody's involved. Yay! Okay, so what I'm going to do really, really quickly is just to make this chick a little bit more important. I'm just going to give them some, by important I just mean focal level contrast. I'm just giving this chick a little bit more contrast around here. As if it's getting some secondary bounce light nearby. And just a little bit of extra bounce light on the sides. The creator was drunk one night. Ha ha ha, we're gonna put a pocket in it. And then that desert horse could use a water bottle. I don't know how to hic like that. Like that. Like drunk hiccup, yeah. Okay. It's eating its way out of the kangaroo. It's a parasite. No. Everybody, don't give Antares the mic. Just don't. Don't give Antares. It's very similar to Ism. Okay? So using the reference nearby, it guided our choice of texture, our color choice, and then our form studies guided the rest. Okie dokie. Let's see how it looks with blue eyes for the kangaroo. I think it's very cute. I think it would kind of tie up the piece. You have like yellow, blue, and then no other primary color anywhere nearby. And what we do is we just, look at that, isn't that so adorable? Yeah, and I would just, I think what you have to do at this point is make the chick less realistic. Because right now the chick is too realistic. It's cute, but you're not painting hyper-realism, so it's kind of looking like an old man. Do you know what I mean? Kind of has that. So what I would do is just decrease that whole extra level. See, this is where you can break the rules. This is an example of breaking the rules. What we can do is, having issues cartoon anatomy, can I send you a trad sketch? I'm not taking any stuff right now. Not right now. You can post it to the community. My class is almost done for today. Do you see how that it looked like an old man because of that line and then the extra little bit? It just looked like an old man chick. What you can do is something like that. And then obviously use a different color. So we're having like a extra little baby version of that, and then you give it its little nose, and then half the chick is, half the beak is in light. And then just this half, a little bit more bright. Alright, so that'll read a little bit more cute. For this to read a little bit less like it's turned on, what we have to do is show more of the eye. And let's just bring in more light around the eyes. Because right now it had the sexy eyes. It had those furry eyes, you know what I'm saying? Just have to spike that. We're going to grab the light source color on the soft brush and brush it over just like that. Okay, let's see, stop breathing weird. That's a good sign. Susa? Susa? She's good. She's slow blinking. Okay, so I really don't know what I did with here, but I know it's a little bit more. It's a little bit less uncanny than this chick, which looked very, very mad. It looked like it was a very angry little chick. You should probably. Damn it! Every time I think I'm done, there's like another thing I want to change. The feet. The feet you can use. Legs or whatnot, you need to use a color on them that's very similar to this, which is that nice, sweet, light color. When we use like all of these, I'm just going to use a color layer first. When we use all of these extra little colors around units that don't really need that much attention, we're pretty much giving off a grim color choice. When you use too many shadows, you're giving off the grim feeling to the object. Write that back to me. So shadows mean we're giving off a grim feeling. We're really throwing off the happy, yay, children's holiday. Or actually not even children's, it's for everybody. And I want to get that white from the background and then just lay it on top. It's a little bit over here. So any questions regarding this paint over? I'm nearly complete. Just using some more of that background white. So see how awesome it is to use the background's value on the object? That's what a light environment means, boys and girls. Light environment means the world. The grim feeling. Like you're using like Tim Burton values. Don't use Tim Burton values on something that's supposed to be meant for children. right? Because you're just giving off this darkness to the feeling instead of a light kind of fluffy feeling. Do you know what I mean? I'm really not eloquent today. I'm very, very tired. I don't know if you can tell. Okay, so before, after. So if you want this piece sent back to you, just message me on Facebook and I'll send it back. But that's it. That's it for today. The butt. Oh yeah, that's right. The butt does have a bit of a bump. It's got a big booty. Just a little bump in like that. Is that what you meant? Yeah, that was a pretty horny kangaroo. Don't do drugs, kids. Istebrak. To me, it feels like the chick is floating and it has really small legs hidden underneath him. Like its head is its entire body. So you mean you want a little bit of a bump here in the pouch? Well, have you ever seen a chick? Its head is pretty much its entire body. Chicken. Right. It's a pretty funny looking thing. So if we lowered down the realism, we pretty much shaved all this off. We took this, we shrunk the legs. I mean, the chick doesn't feel like it's causing much trouble. Other than the little beak thing I did. You might want to redo that. But just don't go full realism on the chick. It's going to look a little bit uncanny. Light environment means the world to me. Good. Isn't the egg floating in its hand? Shouldn't the fingers grab the egg more? Yeah, possibly. But when I'm presenting something, I don't really grab it. I just kind of just lay it in the hand. You know, if I'm like giving OC some snacks, right? You just let your hand kind of just... That could have gone in a really bad direction. Thank you so much, Istebrak, for your critique and paint over. You're very welcome. Was this yours, Sandra? Yeah, even if she's feeling better, I would still take her, yeah. I mean, if she eats again tonight and she has dinner, I'm just going to call them and ask them. But, I'm going to watch her fever. She's sleeping a lot. We would like to take a moment to not appreciate the weird butt shape. I feel like the kangaroo looks super stoned. I don't think anymore. Maybe the glossy eyes, Jeremy. Okay, any more questions? Butt still. Butt, Istebrak, butt, fix the butt. Let me sleep tonight. Did I fix the butt? Or not? I just joined, found this place through the Why You're Drawing Suck video. Well, I'll join next time. Okay, Duffy. I like the blue because it's a nice mix of primaries. Pink, red for the roux, yellow for the chick, and blue for the egg. But it was a little bit too, there. Each color was an island. We weren't even having like overlap values or having some yellow at the top or some blue at the... You don't want to create islands with your color choices. It looks very, very... it'll create a distance between the sections of the canvas. Yeah, it's fixed? Okay, good. I hope she feels better soon. Yeah. But that's it for today. Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you all for your tips and suggestions for Ossi's problem. I'm going to be watching her very closely. I brought her here so I could do the class. I really didn't want to cancel the class. It was a nice class today we had. So if you like today's class and you're new and this is the first time, or if you haven't done this before, why are there 2 Instagram icons? What the juice? Okay, so, I was gonna say, so that's what that person was saying. I didn't even know this happened. It's because I linked this Instagram and then it kept the old one. Anyway, I'll fix that. Google Plus, if you want to join the community, please read the rules. If I see that someone has, even if it's your first time, and even if you were so sweet in your little request for critique, and you were so adorbs, but you still posted one sketch and without many other sketches and an unfinished sketch and you posted it in, I will delete it. Even if you're the most adorable, even if Libby posted it, I would still delete that post, because these rules are made so that we don't get chaos. We don't get anarchy in here. It is very close to anarchy. It's just gonna, it's like it's gonna tip over one day soon. It's probably like 10,000, and we're just gonna explode. And it's gonna be very hard moderating, and we'll probably get in like 5 more mods for this community. But please make sure before all this really happens to us, please follow the rules. It helps control just the quantity. That's all. The quantity of the wall, of the posts on the wall, making sure that you really do use the posts as efficiently as possible. You can post your entire portfolio, just making sure it's one post, all right? And don't use one post per sketch, because others might see that and make that mistake too, and then it'll be chaos. If you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. And Facebook, if you want your work sent back to you, for those who I critiqued today. But that's it for today. Thank you everyone for joining. Maybe not Livy. Maybe not Livy, but other people. Livy is too pure for this world, I know. I will talk to you guys later. Thank you everyone. I'll see you guys on Thursday at 5 or 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. See you guys. Bye.